Hello, welcome to Summer Moon Garden. I'm Lauren and welcome to the Grand Garden Tour of Roses for 2025. I'm so excited to share this video with you today. There's obviously a lot blooming today, which is worthy of showing you guys. So come along with me and we'll do a little tour of the rose garden, which is there's a rose garden up front and then there's a rose garden in the back. There's just roses everywhere. So there's a lot in bloom right now, but not all of my roses are in bloom. So there's going to be a grand garden tour of roses part 1 and then a grand garden tour of roses part 2, because there's still a lot of roses that have yet to bloom. And my garden, the way it works, not all roses bloom at once, so it's kind of a drawn out effect here. So y'all are gonna get 2 awesome videos this year of roses galore. But what I would like for you to do is to like this video and subscribe, because I don't want you missing out on anything that's going to be posted in the next few weeks, because again, every day there's going to be a lot of new things blooming and I'm going to want to share it with you. So I don't want you to miss out. All right, with that being said, let's get started. We're going to start up in the front garden. All right, I'm going to start up here in the front like I usually do each year, so you can see how the front garden looks. So here is my front rose garden bed. I call this section my cottage garden, and the right side is just what it is. I don't really have a name for it. That's kind of my problem area. This has always been my problem area for my roses, which I'm glad I planted all of these drift roses up here, because those do really great in problematic areas. All right, front and center, the stunner today is Alchemist. This is an old climbing rose, one-time bloomer, and she puts on a fantastic show every single year. This one has gotten pretty big, so I'm gonna have to cut her back once she's done blooming, because she's just getting a little out of control. But that's some pretty beautiful controlled chaos right there. All those blooms, oh my goodness. She really does not disappoint. I mean, even the older blooms still look beautiful. And then right next to Alchemist, we have Summer Romance, which is another great performer in my garden. Summer Romance is a floribunda, and I never have any issues with black spot. She's always growing so beautiful and strong. And what I did with this rose up here is I left the 2 canes long in the back and then cut the ones up front. So it creates this waterfall effect that I really, really like. Right here is Princess Charlene de Monaco. Oh my goodness, the fragrance this morning is super strong. This is a great rose to have in your garden if you're new to rose gardening. A great one to start off with because she ticks all the boxes. Beautiful form, beautiful color, highly fragrant, mostly disease resistance. We have a little bit of a black spot issue, but really not that much. But I highly recommend this rose if you are new to rose gardening. Over here is pink Traviata. She's got some beautiful blooms this morning. Overall, this plant is struggling a bit. I think she did get eaten by the deer. That might be one reason why. Sweet Mademoiselle right here is recovering, thankfully. But this whole section here, the deer got to, which is why it's not looking so hot right now. But there are a couple of blooms I can show you. This is Traviata. And then thankfully Summer Romance is making a comeback. And then I guess the deer got to Poseidon as well, because typically Poseidon blooms with the rest of them. And then this section here is fairly new. A lot of these roses in the center were planted earlier in February, so that is why they're not quite blooming yet. They're still getting established, but they're all doing really great. Nice green growth, no disease. And then these white drift roses, I had cut back really, really hard to maintain a more compact shape. And that's why they're not quite blooming yet, but they're about to, I see some buds. So those are gonna bloom a little bit later as well. As you can see, Cinderella Fairy Tale. We got a lot of blooms opening up on this rose. Let's see if I can get a good picture of this one. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, what a sweet bloom. I love this rose so much. It's so beautiful. Lots are about to open up. And this is what I love most about her. She's just always covered in blossoms. Look at all those buds. This is probably one of my best performers as far as all the blooms. On the other side of the mailbox, we have Apricot Drift. I love that I can just tuck this rose in wherever there's an empty spot, and it just really does very well. There's 3 right in here. And then we have All Dressed Up. And then back in here, we've got Ascot. And then this one is the Generous Gardener, which is one of another one of mine that just really performs very, very well year after year. You can see here Cinderella Fairy Tale has just kind of weaved her way through all my other roses. Isn't that a beautiful bloom? Very disease resistant. No black spot on her at all. And again, if you let her canes just grow long, you get these beautiful, just this beautiful waterfall effect of roses. And she has intertwined herself into pretty much every single rose in this part of my garden. She's mixed in right here with Earth Angel, which is, you know, Earth Angel's looking really good this year. What is it? Do you need attention? Do you need attention? Oh my goodness, you sweet boy. And then all these are doing great. It's just they're new and not synced up with the other roses yet. Depending on how long all these Cinderella fairy tale roses take to open up, I may tack it onto the end of this video, or I might just do a separate video. We'll just see how long it takes. We've had a few cloudy days, and so I haven't had a lot of progress on my roses opening quite yet. Here is the cottage garden, which I think has really made a lot of progress this year. I've really been packing in a lot of roses in this area over the past year, and I think it's really starting to finally pay off. Let's go in and take a closer look. Here is Princess Charlene, one of my favorites. I talk about her a lot. Covered in blooms. And I planted 5 others right all up front here. So next year it should be looking really glorious in this section of the garden. And then here's my mystery rose right here. Isn't she gorgeous? I think this rose might be called Aubade. At first I thought it was Golden Gate, but I think it's not dark enough to be Golden Gate. It's either Aubade, or I think there's another rose by Palatine called Padus. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I'm probably totally bombing it, but that thing is gorgeous, isn't it? Let me see if it's got a scent. Oh yes, it's got a lovely scent. Highly fragrant. Isn't that just gorgeous? Oh my goodness. I love this rose. I wish I knew the name. So pretty. Oh, and then back here hiding is First Crush. Which there's a lot of blooms to come on that one. And then over here is Garden Delight. Two-toned rose. I'm not usually into two-toned roses, but this one's really nice. And there's not a bit of black spot on her. And then here we have Miranda Lambert. Man, this part of the garden really is looking full of color right now. I love it. And then this rose on the end is called Meteor. It is absolutely probably like the darkest green, healthy foliage I've ever seen. Not a bit of black spot, and it's covered in buds. They're just not quite ready yet. Wow. Telling y'all, those Cottage roses, they are awesome. All right, let's head down the path here. I gotta show you Sweet Baby. This is another favorite of mine. This is bred by Palatine Roses, and she's just covered in bloom, no black spot. Just the most delicate pink. So pretty. And I've got her going all the way up the path. Look at how beautiful that foliage is. So dark green and glossy. And so much new growth down in there. Last year is when I purchased this rose, and it was like one of the last roses available. And so I was able to get like 5 of them. And so I was like, yep, I'll take that. Thank you very much. And you know, it's hard to get 5 roses of the same variety from Palatine, because usually they have that 1 rose per one limit per household rule, because you know they're so popular. But now they're not selling them anymore, which is just makes me so sad. I wish they would change their minds, because Palatine roses really are the best performers in my garden. Oh, I gotta show you this pretty little iris here. As you can see over here, Reminiscent Coral is absolutely going gangbusters right now. So is Sweet Silhouette from Palatine. I just planted that in February, guys, and look at this growth. I mean, it's like up to my chest. That's how tall this is. And then Olivia Austin Rose has rebounded beautifully. For those of you who are new to my channel, I had this David Austin rose called Olivia growing up over the trellis. It was all the way up in here, and it had just kind of fizzled out and was defoliating and just not doing well. And so I decided to cut it back, and I'm glad I did, because look at all that beautiful new growth. I was very worried about it, but that's the beauty of roses. They're very resilient. If you've got them in good soil and feed them well, they're going to be very happy. And then look at all these Reminiscent Coral roses. My goodness, I'm so glad that I planted these here. They really stand out. me see if there's a scent to these this morning. There is a light fragrance, but it's not super strong. But I mean, they're so beautiful, that's okay. Not every rose can be highly fragrant, but it's still beautiful. Quite a bit of black spot though. I was a bit shocked by that. But again, it's its first year. It might just be getting acclimated. Here's some beautiful peonies. And then here is an old rose that has won me a couple of blue ribbons. This is Celsiana. A really beautiful antique rose. Oh, and let's not forget Claire Matin. This rose has been here for quite some time. Very reliable, very beautiful, open-faced, and the pollinators love it. Here's one rose I'm really excited to see bloom. It's called Ocean. And I think I got this one from Rogue Valley Roses, if I remember right. I'm very excited to see that open up soon. Let's go down the path here. I've got some new dawn roses blooming. And the snapdragons are looking lovely. Earth Angel is doing so great. This is its first, it's only been in the ground for a couple of months and it's looking amazing. All of the Bliss Parfuma roses that I just planted a couple weeks ago are doing great. And I've got now that these are kind of fizzling out, I'm gonna come in here, clean them out, and put in some Moonlight and Paris roses that I have patiently waiting on the front porch right here. And those are from Heirloom Roses. And then right here, I've got my beautiful Sweet Mademoiselle. Look at how big that bloom is. It's as big as my hand. Sweet Mademoiselle is another super disease-resistant, highly fragrant hybrid tea rose, which I recommend if you are new to rose growing. Definitely pick this one up. She's so beautiful and smells so good. We'll see if this one has a good fragrance this morning. Not so much. It might be because it's a little bit of an older bloom. Let's see if this one might have a scent to it. Not so much either. Interesting. Huh. Usually it's really highly fragrant, but it may be because it's been not very sunny. Cats are getting into something over there. Oh my goodness, look at this bloom here. This one was not open yesterday. This is Souvenir de Louise Amade. Oh my goodness, look at that color. That is beautiful. This one has always struggled a bit in my garden, but it's got one good cane right now. So I'm hoping that it will grow off of that one. But gosh, that's a beautiful rose. It does have a nice scent to it as well. Not super strong, but you can definitely sense it. Back in here is Ispahan. which this rose is known, it's highly popular in Bulgaria, where I think Bulgaria is like the rose capital of the world. They grow these roses for rose essential oil and perfumes and all sorts of things that we would need roses for. And Isfahan is very popular over there. Now here, look at this Pompanella, looking beautiful. Every day I come and check on her and it's just looking more and more stunning every time. Again, if you're new to rose growing, get yourself a Pompanella if you can find her. Another one that's highly disease resistant, grows like a weed. So beautiful, full of blooms. This one does not have a fragrance though. So if you're really wanting a fragrant rose, you know, you can pass on this one. But if you're not too concerned about fragrance, I mean, here, let me back up and get the whole thing. Look at that. It's as tall as me. Taller, I think it's probably taller than me actually. And I'm 5'5". So there you go. It's a beautiful one. Now over here we have a lot of sweet drift in bloom. It's looking beautiful right now. And landscape roses. I'm not sure the name of this one. It's been here since we moved in, but I love it, so it stays. And here's Sweet Drift. I planted this last winter. And these roses I actually purchased off of Amazon. Can you believe that? 1 gallon pots off of Amazon. And they're doing great. Back in here we have Golden Fairy Tale. And I love this rose because once it opens up, it really does have a beautiful cottage feel to it. And most of these are Golden Fairy Tale. I think this one is Courage, which is not doing very well back here. I may end up moving this one because I love this rose so much, and this rose is very hard to find. I may end up popping this one in somewhere else where it can thrive a little bit more. And then this one, I think it might be Better Times Eleganza. And it seems to be doing pretty well here this year. There are some buds on it. There weren't any last year. So it's been a while since I've seen it. So I'm like, without a rose tag, I don't know what you are. Because I'm up to, what is it? I'm up to 325 roses in the garden now, which just sounds like absolute silliness. But I love rose gardening. So here we are. All right, let's head out back and check out all the roses back there. All right, so here is our back garden pool area. We built this pool in 2019 and we did all the landscaping ourselves, which I'm super proud to say. We even, my father and my husband actually assembled this pergola as well. They set the whole thing up. It was not an easy feat, but they did it. And now we have these beautiful, look at this beautiful rambler. This is my Felicity rose. So this rambler's been growing here for about 6 years. This summer will be 6 years. And it's just so beautiful. I mean, look at all that growth up there. When those flowers bloom, it's just absolutely spectacular. And I'm definitely gonna be taking a lot of pictures and videos for you guys because it only happens once a year, so I have to document it. But there's lots to see. Let's start here on the left where my Moonlight in Paris roses are. Now I didn't prune these earlier in the spring because they were kind of struggling along a little bit, and I wanted them to be high enough where I could see the blooms over the boxwoods. And it looks like it worked out perfectly as far as that goes. So I'm glad I did not prune them back hard. But here's a beautiful peony. Look at that. I believe that's called Butterflies in Flight. And that's Moonlight in Paris. I really love this rose, and I'm excited to plant more up at the front of the house. I'm hoping that they'll do much better up there. They get more sun. These obviously get part shade with all the trees that we have. We have a lot of trees, as you can see. So these are really in a part shade situation where they're located. So you could still grow roses in part shade. I don't want y'all to ever think that you can't try growing roses in a shadier spot. Sometimes some roses actually like that. Some sun in the south can be a little too intense, and you can have some leaf burn, and the flowers shrivel up really, really fast. So sometimes it can work to your benefit. And if you fertilize well, they will bloom better as well. As you can see here, Autumn is kind of on its way out. These blooms really do last quite a long time though. This rose is so pretty. I'm so glad I got this one. This is an Antique Rose Emporium find. Love that one. Down here we have Coral Drift. And then here are some of my Grace Rose Farm roses. Looks like Symbol probably isn't gonna make it. So I'm gonna have to call Grace Rose and see about getting a refund or replacement or something like that. Brute is looking much better. Georgia Peach is looking awesome. Evelyn is looking awesome. So is Mansfield Park Pink. Although I'm having a little bit of an issue with powdery mildew on this rose, and I can see it has spread a bit to Evelyn. So I'm gonna have to spray both of these down really, really well. But it does have some pretty sweet blooms. Look at that. Those are so cute. And then my favorite, my absolute favorite, David Austin Rose, Evelyn. Such a stunner. The best fragrance. I'm so glad that they brought her back. So I've got this one up here, back here, and then there's another one in a pot up front. I had to have two, at least. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness. Such a beautiful shape and form. Oh, and the fragrance is just to die for. It smells so good. Oh, it's just such a, I mean, look how big this thing is too. It's as big as my hand. So pretty. And look at this one just opening up. The colors. All the different shades of peach and apricot in this rose, and pink. Every bloom is so unique. I think that's what I love about this rose so much. Oh, can't have enough. Can't have enough of Evelyn, ever. Here we've got some mini Vista petunias, and this is apricot drift, and I've got that paired with my Oregon Sunset Japanese maple and my Bloodgood maple, and so I think that makes a really nice colorful corner there. And then I've got some sweet peas that I need to harvest. These look ready to eat. And then in these 3 pots here, I've got Star of the Republic, which is another antique rose emporium rose. And I love this one because it reminds me of Evelyn. It's so beautiful. Let's see about scent this morning. Yep, there's scent. It's not as strong as Evelyn, but it is still very nice. Such a beautiful rose. Look at all those gorgeous blooms. Oh my goodness. That is fantastic. All right, along this pergola, I have planted several Betty Corning clematis vines. And this is the first year where I've actually been able to see some pretty significant blooms on the interior, which is really exciting. But they have this just sweetest little bell-shaped flowers, and they smell like a mixture of jasmine, honeysuckle, and candy. And once they really get going, you can smell it as you walk by, coming and going. It's just the most wonderful thing. Isn't that the sweetest little bloom? Oh, trying to get it to focus, but it's not always wanting to work. There we go. It's so beautiful. So there's 3 along each of these panels, and then my more established older vine is here on the end, which all the blooms are just starting to open up. And once it's in full bloom, they last a good long time, and it smells so delicious as you walk by. And then as you can see, I'm thinking by this weekend, we're gonna have a lot of blooms up there. Next week, it's probably gonna be in full bloom, so definitely look out for a video showcasing Felicity. Showstopper back here is Zade. Can y'all believe this? I feel like I've died and gone to rose heaven. This is just spectacular. Zade is obviously a very prolific, abundant rose. She is always growing out of control, and I'm always having to cut her back. year after year. Keep having to cut her back, cutting back, cutting back. And last fall, I just said, okay, I'm tired of this. I'm just gonna put in some trellises, and I brought her canes around here and tied them to the railing. And I just said, okay, fine. You wanna be longer, then you can be longer. And here you go, this is why. Look at this just waterfall effect of roses every which way you look. It's so beautiful. And then here with the Arabella clematis right next to it, I love the color contrast. It's so, so pretty. And I haven't messed with the fountain because I didn't want to touch this area. It's just too pretty to mess with. So the fountain is a little gunky right now, but that's okay. This is so beautiful. I could just stare at this rose all day long. So pretty. Now, Zade is classified as a shrub rose, which that may be why it really loves to go wild and out of control. And honestly, maybe I should just let her do that more. You know, this is definitely a scenario where, you know, cutting back is really not the best thing necessarily. So that's why it's sometimes good to experiment with your roses, see what works. And you may be very surprised, you know, if you just let it grow a little bit. I mean, if I had cut this back, none of this would be here. It would have been, you know, all down here, all at the base. But wow, isn't it just a stunner? This is a Cottage rose. And as you can see, Cottage roses just do really, really well in southern gardens. One thing I do love is that if you just peek through here, you can see dreamland off in the distance. Isn't that awesome? All right, I've taken like a gazillion pictures of this rose. It's time to move on to the backyard. Here is how the garden is looking from up top here. Now there's a lot of new roses in here, so like, you know, in this section right in here, those I just recently planted, so we're not seeing a lot of action right now. But there's definitely enough to show you today. All right, flanking the fire pit area, I have Lady Ash climbing rose in 2 pots. They haven't been doing the best the past couple of years in these containers, so I'm thinking it's probably time to transplant them somewhere out into the garden. But isn't that a beautiful bloom? I just love that color. I'm a sucker for roses this color. Anything that looks like a sunset, pink and orange, apricot. Oh, yes, please, I'll take it. Here's the rose garden. Looking so beautiful right now. Here is Bliss Parfuma, also called Fairy Tale Magic. I think it's called Fairy Tale Magic in Australia. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that the most beautiful bloom? This one also reminds me of Evelyn. Again, any rose that looks like Evelyn, I want it. So I actually have 7 of these roses planted up by the front of the house. They're doing great, but they're brand new bare root roses, still leafing out. Isn't that gorgeous? So many pretty blooms. Now, this set I actually got from Antique Rose Emporium, and this is their 3rd season in the ground, or 3rd year. I would say 3rd growing season in the ground. They really struggled to start, but this is really the best year for them. This is the best looking year for sure. Let me get this one. I gotta see this little guy down here. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's so pretty. But that's very typical for own root roses, to just be slow growing, and it takes them some time to get established and get going. So I am so glad that I was patient and I did not take these out. I had almost done it. But I'm glad I did not, because that is gorgeous. You can see this one's struggling a bit here. And then I did have one here that didn't make it. But here, look at Dark Desire. Oh my goodness. That color is just something else. I don't know if the camera's picking it up very well, but it starts off with this super dark, almost black bud. Opens, still looking pretty dark. And then once it gets to this stage, even this stage, you get this vibrant Technicolor crimson pink. Oh my goodness. It's just spectacular. And I'm not big on red roses, but this is definitely worth having in the garden. I really love that rose. Oh, and it is highly fragrant, by the way. I was smelling it yesterday. Here we have Black Caviar, which is another really dark red rose. Lots of buds on that one. And then here's Ancient Mariner, one of the few David Austins that actually grows well in my garden. It's a beautiful rose. It does behave like other Austins though in my garden, where in spring it'll flush out beautifully like this. And then after it's done blooming, like half the rose will die back and like struggle to make it through the summer. And I think that's just typical for most David Austin roses. They're bred in England. They're meant for an English climate that's much cooler, much more temperate than here. We get very hot here in the summer, and I just don't think they like it. That's why I don't really grow too many David Austins anymore, because I learned the hard way. I probably spent thousands of dollars on David Austin roses only for them to die. And I'm not in the business of throwing my money down the drain, So that's why I started buying more Cortes and Mélange roses. They just do better for me in my climate. Right here we've got La Perla, looking beautiful. I'm pretty sure this is a Cortes rose. This is another one that does not get a lot of black spot. I don't see any black spot on it at all, actually. And I believe I got these La Perla roses from Menagerie Flower Farm. I'm pretty sure it was one of those, you know, when they're cleaning out their bare root roses for the season. It's called their like cooler sale or something like that. And so I got these at a deeply discounted price and just decided to pop them all in here, because before these were in here, I had a bunch of David Austin roses right here. And guess what? They all died. They did great, like the first season, give me all these beautiful blooms and tempt me and make me want to love them so much. And then once the heat kicks in, they just don't like it and they just fizzle out. Gosh, isn't that beautiful? These are really gorgeous blooms. This is the first year I've seen this hedge of La Perla bloom like this. And I really was drawn to this rose because the color reminds me of moonlight. It's that soft, pale yellow to white. And I thought that would be a good addition to the garden, since this is Summer Moon Garden. All right, down here is Fragrant Masterpiece. How beautiful. Let me give it a sniff, see how it smells. Oh wow, that's different. It's very highly fragrant, but it has a different, how do I describe that? Maybe anise would be the word. It has an anise scent to it. That's different. It kind of reminds me of Summer Romance a little bit. Okay, here, this, if I remember right, is Amazing Grace. It's got a couple of blooms on it. They're about to open. Oh my goodness, look at this perfect bloom of Liv Tyler. That is beautiful. Wow, oh, that's so fragrant too. That smells really good. This Liv Tyler is from Heirloom Roses. That's which, you know, Heirloom sells own root. It has, you know, had a, I wouldn't say a rough start. It's just kind of struggled a bit. But it's really doing well this year. It's only got one cane down there. You see that? It's on one stem. But all of that is on one stem. Look at that. So it's doing well. And man, that rose smells good. And I love the color. That's beautiful. All right, all of these are new. Julietta Cerise, Julietta, Bridal Piano, and Persuasion. All seem to be leafing out very well, so that's good. And then we have Compassion, and then I have another Princess Charlene de Monaco right here. Because, you know, I just can't get enough. I can't get enough of all roses, basically. But I do love the color and form of this one, and it just has a great, strong scent to it. All right, again, this area is a lot of newly planted roses. I had struggles earlier in the winter with roses dying off, so a lot of this is new in here. I do have one little bloom of Awakening though. That's a pretty little blossom. Awakening is very special to me because I grew up with this rose. It's actually at my parents' house in their garden in the backyard. And they have a trellis of just, you know, the trellis is completely covered in awakening blooms, and it's so beautiful. And so that rose does have a special place in my heart. But here we have a new addition to the rose garden. This is Aphrodite, and she is the goddess of love and the goddess of roses. And I was like, well, I gotta have the goddess of roses in my rose garden. It just has to happen. So I thought that she was so beautiful, and I love having her here. More new roses over here with new perennials. I've got salvia and catmint and penstemon, and this is another type of salvia right here called blue chill. Very pretty. And then I also have some purple veronica down here, which I love. And here is one of my favorite roses in the garden. This is Courage. See if I can get this to focus. There we go. Just starting to open up. When this beauty opens up, it gets as big as my hand. Absolutely massive blooms, super fragrant. This is another Cottage rose. I will sing the praises of Cottage roses till I die. They do so well here in the South. And I'm honestly shocked that more gardeners don't know about Cottage roses. Like, I need to get a deal with Cottage roses so I can just tell everybody in the world about them down here. They do so great. Here we have La Fontaine all pearls. Let me back up so you can see this whole thing here. Look at how big that is. I did not know it was gonna get that big. Did not have any idea. And here's the first bloom just about to open up. A beautiful delicate pink. And let's see. Highly fragrant. Oh my goodness. That smells so good. And look at all those roses to come. All right, in this bed, we've got Bolero down here, Windsor Castle Wedding right next to it, Leonardo da Vinci, and then I planted a new rose right here called Trousseau. But look at Bolero, looking so prim and proper this morning. I really love this rose. It's so pretty, no black spot, very healthy, looking fabulous. So is Windsor Castle Wedding. Very beautiful. And then here's Leonardo da Vinci. And I believe Leonardo is a Mélange rose. Still super healthy, green glossy foliage. Such a lovely rose. And then I'm gonna back up so I can try and get this whole thing in here. Here is my beast of a climber, Dreamland. This thing just knocks my socks off every year. So obviously you can see it has became a beast, and it's overtaken the trellis, and we've had to stake it to keep it from falling over. Once this flush is done blooming, I'm going to have to cut it back to try and keep it under control. But look at that beautiful chaos up there. So, so pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? I would have to say this is my most romantic rose in the garden. It just screams romance. I think Jane Austen, English, cottage garden vibes. I mean, oh my goodness, so beautiful. I gotta show you this pretty blossom here in the shade. I mean, it's just so neat to stand under here and just look up and just see all the pretty roses. Very romantic, very beautiful. This is a very special rose. Palatine Roses bred this rose, and I am so glad that I bought her, because now that they've stopped selling roses, I can't get this rose anymore. It makes me so sad that, like, okay, I'm just like hoping nothing ever happens to this rose, because I won't be able to get her again. So she is a stunner. And then in this bed below, I've got 5 sweet Mademoiselle roses packed in here, which are just about to open up. Lots of color happening. I think there's a rose back in here. Oh yeah, there's a couple open down here. Very pretty. Here's another rose tucked back under here that I found. Yeah, see, now that's a strong one. Ooh, it smells so good. And then we have some more in the corner here. This bed will be probably by the rose show. The ones up here, up top, those are probably gonna be roses that I used in the rose show this year. And then we have this corner of the garden here, full of roses. Top cream is just about to open. I am patiently waiting to see this one. And then over here, this hot pink rose is called Sweet Spirit, which has a nice fragrance to it. And then this beautiful pink rose right here is Savannah Sunbelt. And then here we have some bloomed out Francis Meland. And then back in here we have Delish, which has the most beautiful fragrance, very strong, very pretty rose. And then this one back in here is Sunny Sky Eleganza, which is really, really big this year. Here's another of Francis Meland. This is my favorite stage of Francis. Absolutely beautiful rosette. And then this one is Pink Traviata. very pretty blooms, but not much of a scent at all. Back behind the trellis here, we have the Impressionist. Such a beautiful color rose. I thought I was gonna lose this one, but it seems to be bouncing back. And then here is Romantic Cream, which I find it interesting that the back side is blooming before the front, where the front gets more sun. So that's kind of interesting. But it's a beautiful rose. Here we have Mill on the Floss. First time I've seen this one, and I just love the delicate cupped blooms. So pretty. Let's come back around here. Aren't those beautiful? Oh, and then I don't want to forget Louise Clements. This is another heirloom rose. And then Polka is just starting to open up back here. These are Bonica roses I planted last fall. And for their first spring in the ground, they look pretty incredible. I am impressed. These roses are supposed to get pretty big, so that's why I've given them lots of room. Trying to get a close-up for you. There you go. That's a pretty one. I don't want to forget this pretty little peony by the fire pit. Isn't that gorgeous? I don't know the name, but I had to show you. I am really loving Mill on the Floss. Really beautiful, dainty cottage style rose. I love how all these different roses have just mingled together. It's so pretty. We have Erinnerung Unbroad, which is the deeper violet color, and then Earth Angel along with Zade, and then this Rambler down here called Rural England along with Pompanella on the left. Such a pretty combination. And it looks like we've got some Earth Angel blooms open. Oh, such a pretty rose. Another one I can't get enough of. It's a really strong grower. Ooh, so highly fragrant. Sorry, I almost fell. Gotta keep my balance here. But that rose is so fragrant. Oh my goodness. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness. I love it. And I let this cane go long and just draped it over the boxwoods. So we're gonna have tons of beautiful blooms very soon. If the sun would just stay out, these would probably open today. But we've had some cloudy days. Here is Queen of Denmark, which this one's been a kind of an odd grower for me, as you can see. It puts out really long, lanky canes, and only blooms, you know, for some reason it's only got blooms on the ends. I probably should have made all the canes go a little bit more lateral, because there is some new growth popping up here. I don't know if we'll get blooms off that this year or not. We'll see. But yeah, here's another, oh, earth angel. So pretty. Oh, I love it. And then over here we have summer romance, which isn't quite blooming yet back here. I've got hydrangeas galore. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to show you. Oh, I haven't showed you Pompanella and Climbing Pinky yet. So Pompanella is just starting to open up. I had cut this back quite a bit last year because it was really impeding out into the grass. So we don't have as many blooms as last year, but it's still looking beautiful. I mean, goodness gracious. And over here is Climbing Pinky. Let's get around the corner here. And she is in full glorious bloom. And then on this side, I've got Teasing Georgia in full bloom. This is probably the best it's looked in quite some time. It has not done very well for me, but it looks great right now. And then we have Generous Gardener right here. And then I just love that. Look at Zaid spilling over the railing, mingling in with Climbing Pinky. And then there's that purple clematis. I love it when the garden does this, where everything just jumbles together. Ah, so awesome. And then all of these roses are Madame Anisette and Summer Romance. And it looks like Summer Romance is just about, you know, just coming out now. I typically use these roses for cutting because they're in such an odd spot. It's really hard to kind of see them because they're so high up. And so I have fun cutting those and just holding massive bouquets. Last year I had the most massive bouquet of Summer Romance. I'll pop up the picture of it so you can see. Oh my goodness. I hope that I can do that again this year. There seems to be plenty of buds this year, so I'm sure I'll be able to. And then over here, I have Kiss Me Kate on in these little raised beds here. And they're just starting to open. But the petunias are doing great that I planted a couple weeks ago. And then this rose is Wedding Bells Eleganza. It's got massive buds. That's a really pretty one too. I can't wait to show you guys that, but it's gonna be probably a few days before that one opens up. All the tomatoes are doing great back here. So is the basil. Goodness, they have doubled in size since I planted them. And then look at this sweet little rambler here. Blush Noisette is the name of this rose. And then here's another older rose, Madame Alfred Carrier. And she's a bit sparse on the blooms. She could probably use more sun. These roses get a lot of shade back in here. And then in the corner, I have David Austin's Lady of the Lake, which honestly, I'm surprised that it has blooms. Because this is a really, really shady spot in our garden and highly neglected. This area is very, very neglected. Hello, princess. Hi, baby girl. Hi. But from far off, isn't this a beautiful sight? Look at all those colors. That just makes me so happy. All right, before I go, let's take a quick little walk through the Woodland garden. Everything is looking beautiful and leafed out. And I know that you guys love this area of the garden just as much as the rose garden. We've been working diligently and very hard on this space for many years. And the biggest new addition is this beautiful moon gate. We've just finished this up in late winter and early spring, and I am just so thrilled with it. I love how it just frames in this whole winding pathway. Now that all the hostas are up and the ferns, it just looks so magical back here. And I put all of my fairies out, so you'll see little fairies here and there dotted through the garden. So now I officially can call this my fairy garden. And I did get some hostas to fill in some of these gaps that you see in here. And they're big ones like that. I think that's Empress Wu. And so we're gonna fill in this gap area here and a little, a few spaces here and there that need some more plants. And this Edgeworthia is still green, but it hasn't leafed out, which I find interesting. All the other Edgeworthias have. So as long as it's still green, I'm just gonna let it sit there and do its thing. We'll see what happens. But all the different colors of green and chartreuse and the coppery red of the Japanese maples, I think it all just blends together so beautifully. And I'm really happy with how this area has turned out. One last rose I forgot to show you. This is Sweet Flow from Grace Rose Farm, and it's finally starting to open up. And look at that beautiful frilly center. I'm really loving this one. It's a pretty one. right, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tour. I really enjoy just slowly going around the garden and showing you all of the beautiful blooms. And as you can see, there's still a lot more blooms coming along. So watch out for my upcoming videos. I'll be, as more roses bloom, I will be taking more videos and don't want you guys to miss out on that. So please like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And I hope that you were inspired today. I hope that it brought you peace and joy. And that is what gardening is to me. It brings so much peace and joy to my life. And when I have those feelings inside of me, I can let that spill out and bring that to other people. And that's one of the things I love so much about gardening. It's just something that brings everyone together. And it doesn't matter what race you are, what religion you are, it doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. We can all connect together through gardening. And so that's just something that is so special to me. And I feel very blessed to have this platform in order to share that love with you guys. So thank you again so much for your support and for watching my videos. And I just love you guys so much. You're the best. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. There's gonna be lots because, there's always roses blooming. It's hard to just say there's one grand garden tour, right? Because there's just always something happening in the garden. And I just love sharing that with you guys. So I hope you are all doing well, and I send you blessings and love, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.